Welcome, everyone. Hey, it's Jay Noland here. I've got two incredible gentlemen that's joining me here that's been doing phenomenal things in the world, and I'm ready to lock arms and do the best I can, and all the folks that are part of our world, our community. I just want to thank you so much for all the support that you gave me and our teams and all of the people that work with us over the years. But this particular subject really hits home because it deals with the children. The children are our future. And if we don't protect our children, we don't have a future. So I'm just blown away by what these two gentlemen have done. We've got with us today Craig Sawyer and Forrest Sealey. They are heading up an incredible organization called Veterans for Child Rescue. Gentlemen, let's talk about it. Let's just get into it off the gate. Why are you doing what you're doing and what needs to be done? Over to you.
Yeah, love. That's why we're doing it. When I'd spent my career in the highest level of counterterrorism and national defense, been to 60 countries around the world, Jay, only to find out that predators are harming children here to a worse degree than anything that I was told I was defending against elsewhere. And I'm like, why am I defending against a might be enemy who could come here one day when it's already running here at industrial scale and we're all being lied to about it? So a friend of mine from the CIA told me that the area we'd grown up just north of Houston had become a very high traffic area, the hottest epicenter of child sex trafficking in the continental United States. And agencies there that were smoking cigars with us that night were letting us know that, yeah, this is it's a spiritual crime. Ultimately, there's the
Right.
reasoning, the
Right.
sick people that do it. There's a reason that it's very spiritual for them. It's satanic,
Right.
and that it's run at industrial scale in the United States. And I got really upset, Jay. I don't know how to explain it other than it felt like an assault on me and everything that I loved, everybody that I loved. I couldn't reconcile how that was happening at the same time in that area that I knew so many good people
Now,
that
now, Craig, when you say on an
yes,
industrial scale, just like what does that mean to the general population? What do you mean by
yes,
that?
sir. Well, if you've ever been to a pro sporting event, you
Yeah.
see there's big money. The estimates now are it's generating more revenue. Selling children in the continental United States is generating more annual revenue criminally than all pro sports combined. That's
Whoa.
the level we're talking about.
Whoa.
So it used to be that narcotics was the highest revenue for crime in the United States. And then they said, well, then next is child trafficking. They don't know now whether or not child trafficking is the highest or narcotics. But I suspect that child trafficking now, because you have government agencies conducting the child trafficking, I suspect that it has greatly exceeded the narcotics. I can't prove that in the court of law, and it's just bad enough to know that it's at that level. So whatever it is, it needs to be confronted and corrected. It needs to be eradicated because the children are innocent, they are
Yes.
precious, they're worthy of everybody's protection, and this is not anything that is acceptable in our culture. And we have to find the moral courage, Jay, to all
Yeah.
stand up, lock arms together, and say no more.
No
No,
more.
whatever you have done this for, whatever's going on with it, we have to drive this from our culture.
You're right. Right.
Um, and as the
So you
followers
say
of
that I
Jesus,
want to make sure everybody
yes, sir.
understands. We're
Yeah,
talking about child sex trafficking and abuse. Is that pretty much hitting it on the head?
yes, sir. Yeah. Now there
Children.
are other elements to it, but it's all a war on children. It's a spiritual war on children.
Okay.
And here's something that I've started sharing recently too. There is a video floating around the internet of a female egg when in the womb, when that male sperm, and they're saying now that the female egg actually tends to choose which sperm she allows in, the right
Okay.
one.
Okay.
But when that happens, when that male joins with that female egg and that new life begins, there is a flash of light,
Wow.
Jay.
Wow.
It's beautiful. When that new life, that's a new human. And my understanding in prayer is that at that instant, that is the highest ranking soul on this planet, not highest in political rank
Right.
or legal horsepower,
Right.
but the purest soul in the kingdom. He had just breathed that soul into that egg. And
Mm.
at that moment, until the next one happens, that is the purest, most like him on this
Because we're
planet.
talking about complete innocence
Yes,
in its
sir.
purest
Yes, sir.
form at that point.
Straight from the
Indeed.
creator himself.
Right.
Hasn't had time yet to be corrupted or perverted or brought down by this
Oh,
fallen earth and everything here attacking us. So we are born on a battlefield.
right.
We are under
That's a
attack from
fact.
the moment. And if possible, the wicked will harm the children even in the womb.
Wow.
And so that
So
is why,
you got on a
yes, sir.
path to go after this.
Yes.
And who's this gentleman you got with you up here? This good looking man up here with this
This is
hat.
my brother, Forrest Sealey. He's my executive director. I trust him with all that I have and all that I do. We were boyhood friends. We grew up in the same church, my daddy's church, Pastor David F. Sawyer. His parents and mine were good friends. We grew up playing and praying together. And, it ended up, he went into the banking realm. And so I needed an executive director. And I thought, you know what? Who better than someone that I completely trust
Wow.
in
That's
this crazy day and age than Forrest? And so
yeah,
there
because
he
you talking
sits.
about when money comes in, we got to be great stewards of the money. So, Forrest, what's your take
Indeed.
on what you've heard your incredible colleague Craig talk about here? What's your take?
What's interesting is it's subject matter, and I'm grateful that you're talking about this, Jay. It's a subject matter that I just went to my 40th high school reunion,
Yeah.
and everybody asked me what I was doing. Some people had a little bit of an idea, but when you start talking about this subject, all of a sudden people they start retracting. They don't want to know the details. Okay,
Mm.
and I don't get
Mm.
into. I mean, there are details I could get into that'll make you fall on your knees, but I don't get into the details. But just talking about the fringe edge of what's happening is disheartening. And so, what Craig, when he called me up and he originally asked me to be on his board, he was very serious about it. And I was like, yeah, I'm in, because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And he said, take a few days. And no, I'm in. We got to do
Now,
this.
how long
And
ago was this? How long ago was this, Forrest?
probably like around 2017, 18 time
Okay.
frame, because he
Okay.
to the organ 2017 early on. And I remember sitting on my front porch talking to him on the phone. And what I've grown to learn is my whole life, and Jay, you probably have felt the same way. You start out as an adult, make it to adulthood, and you watch the news, and you see something bad happen, and you say to yourself, "They're going to fix that.
Yeah.
They're going to fix
Always
that."
they.
They.
Hey,
And one day, I'm looking in the mirror, and I'm like, "Well, they is right there in the mirror."
Fact.
And that's what I think I've been called to do. And that's what Craig and we feel like we are the they. It's kind of an odd thing to say. And people like yourself are part of that group that needs to step up
Yep.
and spread the word, help
yours.
educate people, and fight against change culture. We have got to change our culture. We got to raise young men to be young men and to treat people with respect.
Right.
We got young ladies, the same exact thing on all planes. And we have to do this together.
Man, you know what? These are some power words. We're talking about veterans for child rescue. Craig, when did the idea start? And once it started, how fast did it ramp up?
Well, for me, it started immediately. I felt a conviction. I
What
was
year was that? What
heartbroken.
year was that?
That was 2014.
Okay.
Okay. And I was like, oh, I have to fight this. Like, this is evil that came and kicked right on my door. I mean, I
Wow.
felt a visceral response like this was vile and deeply upsetting. And I knew that I had to fight it, but some of these agents they were saying this is a spiritually motivated crime, and they're like, hold on there, killer, because I'm like, I'm in.
Okay.
I'm SEAL Team 6 operator, I'm a federal law enforcement, I'm a federal criminal investigator, I've been in the intelligence community, diplomatic community, I have all these friends and allies, and man, we're going to bring horsepower, we're going to crush this. And I'm like, hold on there, hard charger, appreciate your zeal,
Right.
but this is a spiritually motivated crime and a spiritually protected crime. There's a veil of protection and secrecy over this that's spiritual that you have to recognize. Because with your typical badge and gun investigations, what you're going to find, you are just going to be forever confounded, staggering around in figure eights, never able to find what's right under your nose, because there's a layer of this that you're not accounting for. It is spiritual, and until you engage it on that level, you will have no significant effect ever. And I'm like, oh, I know they're telling the truth. I knew from my daddy, David Sawyer, about spiritual warfare, and I knew I could tell they knew what they were talking about, and it was true. And I thought, I've had millions of dollars spent training me. I've been to 60 countries around the world. I've been and lived in war zones, and I eat, breathe, and just execute this violence for righteous reasons all over the place. I'm, should be considered a master at conflict. And I'm like, not this type of conflict. Shame on me. I've wasted these decades, right? So if this is a conflict between the Almighty and Satan.
This is
huge. And so I realized I have a lot of growing to do spiritually if I mean to be useful in this fight. And I had to be useful, Jay. So then there goes the ego, right? You think you're cool? You're nobody in this league. You have nothing. You have nothing. So I threw myself on my face. I begged to allow me to serve and fight because I had to. I begged him like a pathetic, I don't know I was just begging him profusely, probably just to get rid of me. It just said, okay, son, I'll help you and I'll raise you up and I'll teach you. And because I'm tired of hearing you begging me.
I hear you beg me to do this.
But I've grown so much, and he brings, when we're obedient, when we step out of the way and say, Father, you work. Let me know what you mean to do, and let me be the vessel, and it shall be done, whatever that is.
So you're talking about 10 years you've been on this front line.
Well, for 3 years, so I'd been doing about a decade of film and television while I was coming back and forth from the war zones, working in the intelligence community, running high threat mobile security for Department of State and for the intel community, moving their senior officials around the war zones to keep them off of Al Jazeera and the evening news, an orange jumpsuit or worse. So in the film and television industry, I reached out to all my executives, the most powerful ones that had done work like what I would consider high threat documentary film work, and say, hey, I got exposed to child trafficking. We got to let the people know so that they can defend their children and fight back. Oh, yeah, Craig. Absolutely. Let's do that. Well, 3 years later, I realized they were all shining me on. None of them were going to do anything. They were never going to get around to it.
They were just kind of yesing you, huh?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Wow.
And so I began crying out to other friends, and they're like, well, it's a rancid industry. They're never going to do anything because that industry, film and television, is soaking in it. And half of them are probably complicit, even though they're nice to you. And I'm like, well, what can I do? And they said, well, I just wanted to make a documentary. I felt like, Jay, if I made the documentary Contra Land, that people would go, that's horrible and not okay. And they would start flipping tables over, legally speaking, and drive that evil from our nation. Well, I gave people too much credit. They don't have that level of moral courage because they don't know the Father. And so they're fearful in their own power. They know they can't stand up against the machine by themselves. So they're fearful. They turn away in cowardice. So that was painful to recognize when we rolled Contra Land out. But I had to found the nonprofit organization, Veterans for Child Rescue, just to rally the funding to make the documentary so that we could inform the people and generate a cultural change to spare all of the rest of the children. So
Contra Land has been made and it's been out.
Yes, sir. Yeah, 2020 it aired.
2020 it came out.
Yes, sir. And so it aired to 90 million households in the U.S. and Canada on Daystar TV network. We're so grateful for that. And we've got a radio station, a radio show. We've got 2 TV shows. We've got billboard placement, NASCAR placement, public speaking, social media campaigns, flyers, you name it. We're just trying to saturate the American people with the knowledge that empowers them against this assault on our nation and on our little ones, so that we can all just protect the little ones from it and end the harm just stop the
Yeah,
madness, please.
gotta
And so
stop.
that's what
Gotta
we do,
stop.
man. We fight.
Well, that's what
And
attracted me to you guys, and the veteran part. So how does the veteran part play into this?
yeah, well, I am a veteran. Most of the people on our board who are helping me are veterans of military and law enforcement. We got admirals and generals and uh, high-ranking people that in different agencies that I've known and met throughout the journey that prepare me for what he knew I was going to have
Okay.
at the end of my life here.
Okay.
And so there's something for everybody to contribute. And we'd run joint sting operations with federal and local law enforcement. So
Mm.
up to 9 agencies at a time
Ooh.
running these sting operations. And we put out benign ads or social media
Mhm. Mhm.
pages or children on games, you name it, but all benign, just innocent. And the predators come for the children. They stalk them, they hunt
Okay.
them online
So you
electronically
see,
through the
you guys
games,
see
through the
this happening
apps.
continuously. Y'all see it with your own eyes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And I don't care how hard a person anybody thinks they are. Look, I'm a hardened combat veteran. This will punch you right in the gut when you see how many predators will come for an innocent profile of a child.
Like how
Just
old? Give me like something
let's say
typical.
12 years old,
12 years old.
little girl. Hi, I'm new here, and my name's Sally, and I like dogs or butterflies or kittens or whatever. I just, I like art or whatever
Okay.
the child is
Okay.
into.
Okay.
Any sort of presence online, they get hit with, "Hey, sup? What's going on? Hi." Benign one or two approaches, and then the next one's sexual. Next sentence, sexual,
Wow.
and then within minutes, it's abusive and vile. And you're like, wait a minute, what
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 world?
human would want to have a conversation about being harmed? There's nothing gratifying or beautiful or loving about it. It's very violent. These are predators, sick people in their mind, hunting children to unload their sexual lust on. So it's just deeply disturbing to see what they will write to children. And then to see what the imagery that they'll show, that they'll take pictures of their
How
own
many roundabout
genitalia
of
and all
these have
this.
y'all seen? How many roundabout of these type of messages have y'all seen?
Oh,
Okay, let me tell you this. In the first operation we ran was in Guilford, Connecticut,
Okay.
very affluent area. We arrested federal agents and everybody else who came for the children. But on one ad for I think it was a 12 or 13-year-old child, it was a female for sex. That one was a little bit more explicit. It was a babysitter offering up a girl if anyone wanted to come. It was 5,000 different predators. Now, this was a local ad. This wasn't a global ad,
Whoa.
Jay. Not even a national ad. This was a local ad. It was on Backpage. Backpage has since been taken down
Wow.
for one girl. So in 30 days,
Wow.
5,000 predators came and responded to that, trying to get to that little girl.
Did you say even federal agents?
One, yeah, yeah. His daddy had been FBI, his granddaddy had been FBI, and I understand he'd been FBI. And then for some reason he ended over at Department of Treasury, IRS. So he was an IRS agent who left his own wife and child and came to rape a girl turning 13
Come on, man.
and brought her a birthday cake
Come
for her
on.
13th birthday while he raped her.
See, this is why. So now let me bring my involvement in here because a lot of our community that knows me, y'all know that I don't play when it comes to kids. Had an orphanage school in Kenya, Africa for about 10 years. And we've helped thousands of orphans and we've seen all the travesties that can happen there. And so if we don't protect the kids, who's going to protect them? And so I got that warrior spirit in me, kind of like my brothers here. So when I heard about this, and then I've got some influence in the world, I wanted to share that with everybody that's listening to me now to
There you
use
go.
the influence that I've got, but all of you out there, many of you got influence. So when it comes to our influence, what can we do to make a difference? That's why I've got my now becoming in close to me, coming like family here, because we're uniting together. Because it ain't gonna happen unless we make it happen.
Yes,
And
sir.
so gentlemen, what can we do? What can our community do to help us get this eradicated? Why are we here on this particular episode here?
I love this, and I love your heart for the children, brother. So those who love enough, protect. Those who love enough, step up and defend the little ones and the ones that are vulnerable. So we have a lot of tools and intel to empower anyone that goes there, because somebody may be a graphic artist, somebody may be a money manager, somebody may have surveillance a background. We're all different. We have different journeys and we can bring different things to the table. So we have all these bullets and links to empower people to choose how they can find their best fit to contribute. So obviously there's prayer is needed over all of this.
Okay.
I think it's my personal opinion that the American people do not comprehend the power of corporate prayer, joint prayer against this, and how disruptive it is for all that the evil ones are doing.
Okay.
But that we definitely need to do. There's funding. It takes funding to move men and equipment around the country and take the bad guys and put them in prison, right? There's all the travel and lodging, everything that has to happen to pull people out of their jobs and do this. We need to change our educational system. So there's a lot of tools and empowerment involved in that to teach people how to do that. Our systems have been turned against us. They've all been infiltrated. Yeah. Yuri Bezmenov warned us about it. The Communist 45 Goals from the book The Naked Communist was read before Congress in 1963. And it describes how they meant to infiltrate both political parties, our entertainment, our science, our educational systems, turn them all against us, and they have.
Yeah.
That's why if you post anything too empowering to the people, it gets censored by big tech, because they are against us and they are against you. And so it's knowing all of that. So there's a lot of tools that really educate people on that. And get involved in the political process. Roll your sleeves up. We have a constitutional republic if we can keep it. We, the people, are supposed to run this country through our representatives who are supposed to serve us and our will. But when we just say, oh, I can't be involved in politics because it's contentious and I can't talk about children because it's too painful, then where does that lead our country? It leads us right off a cliff where we're going now. So we, the decent, have to get our hands on the wheel, drive the bus in a productive direction. And that's the opportunity we have. It's beautiful. It's glorious. We have the chance to save the day. If only we just will.
Well, I love this, and I've got a site that they set up for me to be able to get this word out there more. I'm going to drop that link here for everybody to see. You can get directly over, get all the information that has to do with Veterans for Child Rescue. I don't want anybody to miss out on their opportunity to participate at some level. Of course, contribute. Put something to it. I mean, you're eating out and going here and there, just take a little bit, put it towards this cause, because that way your conscious, your energy, that changes everything. When you're able to, your subconscious starts rocking with you, working together. You got the entire universe wanting to help do great things in your life, but you got to make some deposits in order to make some withdrawals. And so I love this. If you go over to contralandmovie.com, you're going to get information on this incredible documentary that you guys put together. Can y'all just real quick before we get out of it, can we talk about the Contra Land movie and what can people expect when they see that movie?
Yeah, one thing you'll see is us running the sting operations. You'll see the nature of the predators. And I ask them out of genuine curiosity, man, what brought you here for a child? I mean, they've got all these women in the world, and you're all the way down to a child that doesn't have any sexual indicators that you should be drawn to. Like, what happened? And they'll give their answers of why they're there, and you get to hear that straight from the pedophile's mouth, the predator's mouth. You'll see how this scourge on our culture became so vast. Al Kinsey was a science fraud. He conducted fraudulent studies.
Research.
Research on children. He paid prisoners, to rape children, and whatever the child's response, whether it was flinching or jerking or screaming or passing out or convulsions, he would mark it as orgasm, because that's what he wanted it to be. In his sick mind, these perverts, these people who are demonically tormented, want to feel normal.
Yeah.
And so they want to force it on you and me to call it good. Well, no, harming and utterly traumatizing a child, it will never be good.
Yeah.
And it's not normal.
Nope.
Even though you feel strongly compelled to do it by the demonic entity in your ear, it's not good, and nor will it ever be. So you'll see Alfred Kinsey's rise, and Dr. Judith Reisman, who you'll see unpacking that about him, later did a study, and she found out that the CIA was actually funding Kinsey. So we've got a lot of corruption to clean up, but didn't quite make it into Contra Land because she learned that after we filmed. She's a true champion for children. She's on the other side now, but she will always be part of our team in perpetuity.
Now, is there going to be a Contra Land 2 come out, you think?
Well, we're working on 2 more right now.
Really?
One, yeah. We don't have working titles for them yet, but there's 2 aspects of this war on children that have been filming quite a bit of interviews on and operational footage to put together. So we're continually bringing product to the people to overcome all the deceit. Because
so when people are contributing, supporting, donating, that's going to help get these projects done as well, correct?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Yes.
Got to hear that. Y'all got to hear what's being said here. You know, is there any parting words that Forrest you want to share with us before we get out of here? Because your man Craig's about to heat.
Well, one thing that I wanted to point out, we've recently operated down on the border, and there is an organization, it's a federal organization, the Office of Refugee Resettlement. And some time ago, in the last few years, they announced that they're missing about 100,000 children. They've misplaced them. Now they're up to over 300,000 children.
Misplaced.
And, yeah, they can't account for them.
Man,
okay. When you got bodies moving across the border, you have to account for them. If you say, I'm going to take this person and put them here, and then they're going to go here, you're accounting for them. They can't account for them. And what's very interesting is that they're so matter of fact, and they won't really disclose anything beyond that. You don't have Congress having these people sitting in front of them and questioning them over these sort of things. Nobody's being held accountable. Right. And so that kind of goes to another layer of, as a society, we have to hold our government accountable for losing 300,000+ kids.
Yes. Yeah, we got to do more. Any parting words over there? Appreciate that. Any parting words, Craig?
Yes, sir. We are children of the Most High. We have a tremendous opportunity before us. It is beautiful. And I say, let's charge into it together and celebrate what we're able to do for the little ones. It's all opportunity.
Yeah, you guys have touched me. I know all of our viewers that are watching this, listening to this, you know, I'm probably going to drop this on the podcast too. Everybody, you can do something. Doing nothing, to me, that's a problem. Doing something is going to be an impact. It's going to be something positive that we get out of this. And the thing that we want more than anything is we want to see change. We don't just be talking about it. We want to be about it and make this change. I promise to get up on this front line even stronger. I'm just not afraid. Worst thing's going to happen is we're going to die. That's going to happen anyway. So if you're going to die, I just love the philosophy from the martial artists, from the samurais. I want to die a good death. I want to die a good death. And what more could you ask for to be on the front line, to be able to have an impact on a child that has nobody to protect them? And that's what we're here to do. We're going to protect. And I promise you guys, man, we're going to make an impact and, you know, lock arms and continue until we see the change. We're all in with you. Appreciate you, fellas.
Thank you, brother. So much.
Appreciate you.